What's up, guys? It's Troy Cartwright. Welcome back to another episode of 10-Year Town. Before we get started, we are coming up on our 100th episode, and we'd love to celebrate this milestone with all of you. So if you want to be included in a special bonus episode to mark this occasion, record a voice memo about something you've learned from the pod, a favorite moment, or really anything you want. Try and keep it under 60 seconds if you can, and email it to me, troy@10yeartown.com. Thanks. This week's guest is Blake Pendergrass. You know Blake from some of your favorite Morgan Wallen songs like 865, Ain't That Some, and Just In Case, which just became his very first #1 song. I really enjoyed this episode. We talked a lot about the songwriting process, how he keeps track of his ideas, how he stays inspired, and so much more. I learned a lot. I know you guys will too. So without further ado, here he is, Blake Pendergrass. Well, dude, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. And I always start this thing off with the same question, which is, how long have you been in town?
Yeah, I have been in town since, I guess, August of 2013. So this is going to be my 12th or I guess going on 13 years, I guess, in August. It is August now. So I guess this is the start of my 13th year. So
where did you come from, I guess? Move from, where are you from originally?
Yeah, I was from Raleigh, North Carolina originally.
Okay.
So born and raised there, and then came here when I was 17 for college originally.
Did you go to Belmont?
I did. Yeah,
nice.
I went to Belmont and did that whole route, and it was good to me.
What did you study?
I was commercial voice major, actually. So that's just technically it's just music major. I had like a minor in music business and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, I met like John Bryan, who's like the main guy. We were in the same orientation group and everything there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went to Berkeley.
Oh, sick.
So at Berkeley, like, it's a little different. You have a principal instrument.
Yeah.
Which for me was voice.
Yeah.
But then I majored in music business. But I remember when I was visiting colleges and I looked at Belmont, if you did music business, I don't think at the time anyway, you could do the music part.
Right.
They would kept them separate.
They were separate. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so did you, but you were still able to minor in music business.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had what at Belmont, it was called like an emphasis, I guess you would say. And so they gave you, I think it was 5 classes or something like that within whatever emphasis you wanted to do.
Okay.
So you had your main major, and then that was, it essentially was like a minor, but I got to do a lot of different pretty helpful classes in music business because of that. So
yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, that music business 101 class, where they tell you about what a manager percentage should be and how a record label deal works and all that stuff. All that information, very valuable. It's definitely 1 semester's worth of information. So I was kind of thinking about some of the other music business classes I took that were kind of worthless because it was advanced record deal stuff, and none of it really is relevant at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I found myself now that I've been in the music industry and everything, the dots connect a lot more on what I was learning at the time. I didn't quite follow. I was honestly I took a music publishing class, and I remember that being one, and a copyright law class for both, and both of those I remember being very difficult to wrap my head around at school, at college, and everything.
Yeah.
And now that you're in, you're like, oh, this is what all of that was about.
Yeah, this is what it is. So when you were majoring in voice, is that program is it classical, or is it are you doing Italian arias and stuff?
Yeah,
or
I did some of that. Yeah, I did 2 years of it, and then midway through your second year, you switch to being classical and commercial voice at the same time.
Okay.
So you're doing both. But you switch professors and everything, and
gotcha.
So the first 2 years you're in choirs and ensembles and all that stuff, and just singing, like you said, Italian arias and different languages. We had to do a foreign language diction class where you learn how to pronounce all the words in different languages. So
useful, dude.
Definitely. Yeah. It actually comes in handy, I guess, on Europe trips, but that's about it. But what about you? Did you have to do classical stuff?
Yeah. We had to do, I remember the hardest classes for me were having to do those arias, because obviously I don't speak Italian
for sure.
And the pronunciation was so important.
Yeah.
So like I knew the melodies and stuff.
Right.
That part wasn't hard, but remembering all the vowel sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, it was hard. And then we did a ton of harmony, which is just music theory.
For sure, yeah.
And then ear training.
Yeah, same.
Which those classes are pretty useful.
Yeah,
now. It was really hard. And like you weren't just doing by ear training 4, you're not doing like do, re, mi anymore. You're doing like semitones,
full chords and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just, like that was exceeding my, country music's a great place for me because there's a lot of like simplicity.
Yeah. Yeah. Patterns and all that. Yeah, for sure. I remember that the ear training got crazy towards the end. And there's some people that had just like a natural ability to identify.
Dude,
stuff.
some of the people in my classes had perfect pitch.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't really fair.
Yeah. Wasn't even really a class. They just already knew how to do it.
Because they just could hear what the notes were.
Yeah.
That always seems like an unfair advantage to me.
Yeah. Did you finish out Berkeley? Did you finish?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes, I did. And that used to always kind of like make me feel bad. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like all the really successful people like John Mayer or whatever that went there dropped out.
Right.
So I was like, oh man, I'm a loser. I
know
finished
what you mean.
college.
Yeah. You finished the program. What? Yeah.
But I was so not ready for the real world.
Yeah.
I was so like immature and just like didn't understand how, just like a debit card functioned. Just like little stuff that I'm glad I went all 4 years because I would have like been ill prepared for real life.
I get that for sure. It gives you a safe place to kind of like figure out how to live as a human being. Almost.
Totally. Let's take a quick break here to tell you about our friends, the Graphic Guitar Guys. If you've ever thought about having a custom guitar, whether for merch, a giveaway, or a unique VIP package item, Graphic Guitar Guys makes it simple. They've worked with some of the biggest names in country music, handling everything from the guitar to full color graphics and shipping, and it's all for one easy price. They're also a great option for album pre-sale bundles or fan collectibles. I've worked with Scott and the rest of the team myself, and they really do make the whole process effortless. Check them out at thegraphicguitarguys.com. Now, back to the show. So, were you writing songs in college, or had that like appeared on your...
Not really, man. So I got there and I'd probably written like 1 or 2 songs like, by the time I got there. And so, I mean, I really just went because I kind of felt like I'm a very faith-led person, felt like I was kind of like God was telling me to go to Belmont for some reason. Just go to Nashville. And like, I didn't really understand why. I didn't know like what the purpose of that was, but I got there and started surveying like the surroundings. And I was like, man, all these people are one, way more talented, and B, like they've already done a lot of like, they've made a lot of groundwork and like put a lot of time into music already. And so I kind of felt behind very quickly.
Because did people already have like EPs and stuff like that?
They were really good at music. They were really good singers. They had like, they'd spent their like early adolescence, I feel like diving into music. And I just liked to sing. I honestly was like, I was in choir in high school and like had a passion for it and was going here to try and like just explore what like that was. And so kind of felt behind and started realizing that most people at least attempted to write songs at college. And I was like, man, it looks like if I'm going to even do anything, then I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. So I kind of dove into at the beginning, just the classic, like writing by myself, just trying to figure out how to write a song, and like had no idea. I wrote like 10 songs. I remember I met with Keith and Melton at the time. My parents had a person at their church. It was his dad, like went to their church from my hometown. And my parents convinced him to like meet with me after I'd written like 10 songs, and I showed him the 10 songs. I was like, these are the best. I was like, I did it. Just because I feel like I honestly just like the fact that I had a completed song, I was like, I'm ready to be signed. And and like he like quickly, it was like he heard them and he was like, yeah, these aren't good. Like he's like these, and he was like very gracious about it. He was just like, he played me actually a song that ended up coming out on like a Joe Nichols record that at the time was on Hold with George Strait or something like that. And he was like, man, when you can write a song that's this good, you're inching closer to getting a publishing deal. Like, but until you can do something like this, you just shouldn't even come back.
Was that like discouraging at the time, or were you motivated by it?
It was discouraging, I think, at the time, because I just was like, I didn't even have any sort of metric or like gauge for what a good song was. I mean, I heard that song and like it sounds crazy, but like at the time I listened to it and I was like, I don't feel like I'm that far off from that. You know, it's like, dude. And I was so far off that like I just had no parameters for it though. You know?
Yeah. That part is really tricky, I think, because when you're just getting started, it's so as you should be, but you're so proud that you like have a song.
Yeah, that you just completed anything.
Yeah. And so when someone's like, oh, well, you have 10, like you need, I think when Ryan Hurd was on here, he like his advice to like people just getting started is like, go write 100 songs.
Yeah.
And if that seems like too much, then it might not be for you.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, but it can be really like discouraging when you show somebody like your first stuff, and especially in Nashville, like the songwriting level is just so high.
Yeah.
People are like, you're not there yet.
Right.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, it's hard to hear. I do value it now though, like obviously being on the other side of it, like people along the way that like are honest with you and they're like, he very easily could have just been like, good job, man, keep going. And like just been like kind of like dismissive, but he was actually like constructive, and he was like, he gave me a little bit of an objective, which was helpful. And as opposed to just I feel like that kind of critiquing along the way is what makes you into a better writer. So
no doubt. So did you like use a song that he, like, for example, that song that he showed you, did you like try and find more songs like that to like study them, or like how did you go about kind of improving?
Yeah, I did. I kind of like at the beginning I was kind of paying attention to like all the Belmont kids around me, because Devin Dawson was there at the same time. There was like a handful of like people that were gaining like traction at the time. And so I kind of like, I studied the Belmont community first. Like I was trying to like, I would listen to their music, and I was just fans of what those guys would do. And so I learned from them from a distance. And then as time went on, and like at beginning of college, it wasn't like the same where like Spotify wasn't really as big of a deal. So like there wasn't as much easily accessible music. So like once that streaming stuff kind of started happening, I just like actually started diving into actual catalogs of like my favorite writers. And like, so I dug into Craig Wiseman, I dug into just like Shane McAnally, and like I started to study how these guys were writing. And like there was no like, at the time there was no like, this is Craig Wiseman Apple Music playlist. It was just like I would like Wikipedia search all of his songs, and like I made my own playlists of the stuff that they had done. And I started trying to kind of recognize patterns of like, why is this a Craig Wiseman song? Like it tried to like identify like what his thing was. And I think as I kept doing that, as I kept picking out random writers, it allowed me to kind of get a more of a like a landscape of like what an actual song should be, and like also like the style that you can bring to it. Because there's like obviously like when you hear it on the surface, it just sounds like a song. But then as like us as writers, probably we know what somebody's writing style is like. Like I feel like I can almost identify who wrote a song before I even look sometimes, you know? And that was what my goal was at that time, just to try and be like, I want to listen to a song and know it's a Craig Wiseman song if it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
yeah, that's so true. I feel like even this weekend I was going through like, I always try and listen to the first like 15 songs of like New Music Friday Country. I forget what it's called now on Spotify.
Yeah.
All new country, something like that.
For sure.
But yeah, I do the same. I do that thing now where I'm like, I bet that so-and-so wrote this song.
Yeah.
And
it's a fun little game.
Sometimes
honestly.
I'm right.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives you like a little bit more of like a sighted in version of like, I found that helped whenever I started writing with those guys too. That was like, I already kind of knew what like their template was a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And you kind of choose your titles based on, you know, who you might be writing with that way. If you have that kind of information.
Definitely. Yeah.
So did you finish at Belmont?
I did. Yeah,
okay.
I did. Finished all 4 years. I did it like just clean 4 years and everything, got out, and then, out into the real world I went.
Yeah. So like what happened after you were done? Did you immediately get a publishing deal? Were you like working odd jobs, or like what was
I was immediately I was kind of floundering around to answer that question. I mean, I held myself to I honestly felt a lot of pressure to have a publishing deal after college.
Yeah.
Didn't have it. I had a lot of conversations going at the time, just because I'd met a decent amount of publishers through Belmont, and like just had feelers out, I guess you could say, and like connections with people. But it was pretty much just like send a song every month or so and like get feedback. And then there was one producer like publishing group that kind of like was interested in me for a sec. None of that panned out. So I ended up just waiting tables. And I ended up doing that for about 3 years, 3.5 years. and kept at it, you know, it was, but like that whole time.
Was that hard? Like, I'm sure, you know, there were people kind of in your peer group, in your class, that were getting deals right away or whatever. Yeah. So was that like hard to kind of navigate?
Definitely. Yeah. I remember I don't think I should have felt the way I felt, but I did at the time feel like pretty embarrassed, to be honest with you. I felt like being a waiter at like the restaurant I was at, it was like, obviously it was great. I was like working to like live and everything. There's nothing wrong with it. But I remember like there'd be times where people from school or whatever would even just like come eat at that restaurant. And I remember being like, dang, I just hope hope they don't see me. You know, it's like, cause it felt like I was like really behind, or it felt like I was not achieving what I set out to do. But yeah, it was definitely tough, but.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things that I've always wondered about with going to Belmont specifically, or a college that's like Nashville adjacent.
Yeah.
Because somehow I missed the whole memo on Nashville.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't know about Nashville until I was like 25 or 26 years old. Gotcha. And I'd already kind of like been doing my thing down in Texas.
Yeah.
So my kind of like ride through Music Row was different, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the things that I always thought about for myself was like, I'm glad I didn't know about it. I'm glad I didn't know that you could get like a publishing deal or something like that when I was 19 and at Belmont, because I was like worried that I would have gotten too many no's.
Yeah.
And messed it up.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, it sounds like though maybe that's not as true as I thought it was, like, because you kind of knew some of these publishers and like maybe they were saying not right now, and and obviously it's worked out great for you still. So
yeah, dude, it was one of those things. It was really tough to figure out though, because I mean, it was. I remember feeling at that time being like, man, like what is it going to take to convince these guys to like sign me? Like I couldn't wrap my head, because it was always kind of like the understanding of like you almost needed a cut before you.
Yeah, it's like chicken or the egg.
Yeah, and exactly. And I couldn't really figure out how to get a cut without having a publisher, you know? And so like, it was kind of this like, I started doing a lot of things in the midst of that when I was like waiting table. I was like, all right, I'm just going to make myself as like lethal as a writer as I can. I'm going to start learning how to make tracks. I'm going to learn how to like, people classified me as a lyric guy for like a lot of the times when I would talk to the publishers. They'd be like, oh, you're great lyrics. Like, work like melodies or like whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to try and be a melody guy now. I'm going to try and be a track guy. I'm going to try to do all the things to the point that nobody can deny that like I'm at least like worthwhile to be published or whatever. And so that time beforehand, I just tried to make myself better, to be honest. And it did help out, because when I finally got in, I think I had a little bit like more time than average. Like some people get signed quick and like they get thrown into it. And it's like, because I didn't, I had the ability to like prepare, and like I knew what I was getting into when I finally got signed.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't great. It probably didn't feel awesome at the time.
No, definitely not. But me and JB did it together too, which was like part of the benefit. Like I had like a friend that was like in the same exact boat. Yeah. Okay. So like he and I both were like, what is going on? Why can't we get a deal? Like we were just like, for years, like we would just continue to write. We wrote, I think like 6 years straight every Monday before anybody cared. Wow. And so like having that person that you're in it with, you're like, that makes it easier for sure. Where you're just like, okay, we're on this ride together.
Dude, that is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I feel like kind of like your big breakout moment was 865.
Yeah. Yeah.
So were you guys both unpublished at the time when you wrote it?
Yeah, when we wrote it, we were. And before it came out, JB had signed.
Okay.
But yeah, we were both, completely unpublished. And it was, just literally the same kind of thing where we were just writing on a Monday and doing the same thing we had done for 6 years at that point, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that? It's such a great, I mean, it's a great song, but I love the idea.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, how did you come, who came up with that, or like, how did it kind of come together?
Yeah, I always do like time before write that I'm like preparing for ideas and everything, like generally like 30 minutes to an hour beforehand. And that one in particular, I was just like listening to music, and I heard another song that was like, the lyric was like, it's a matter of time before whiskey turns into a phone call, kind of a thing, is like what the line was. And it was like just some passing line in a verse. And I was like, oh man, that would have been like a crazy thing for them to just like say that like this whiskey tastes like that phone number. And for some reason, it like, as I've like looked back on it, it doesn't make that much sense. But like for whatever reason, it clicked in my head. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Like just write a song about a phone number and like make it about like a drunk call kind of thing. And so me and JB were supposed to have like a published writer on that session at the time.
Okay.
But COVID hit it, and it was like the first time anybody had written on Zoom. So like that writer didn't want to do it that day. They just didn't want to Zoom. And so me and JB just got on Zoom, and I had that idea. I was like, man, I feel like this is going to be like, I was literally excited just because I was like bringing a great idea, I thought, to the table, and then it kind of fell apart. But we still did it, and it worked out. But
so at that time, like I guess you write the song.
Yeah.
And then you think this is pretty good. Like what happens next? Like how do you get it to the right place?
Yeah, we just wrote it, and at the time, like I said, we were both working on learning how to do tracks. So we made like a like really bare bones like demo essentially. And at the same time, Mike Giangreco, who's a Big Loud, he was kind of like he was, I don't know exactly what position, but he wasn't the Mike G that he is today.
Yeah.
But he still had enough influence. Like we had went to college with him, so JB knew him well from Belmont.
Okay.
And so JB had kept that relationship going with Mike, and he just sent him a batch of 5 songs that we had written for like the past little bit.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, Mike, what do you think? Same thing I was doing with like other publishers, just like sending batches of songs to see if anybody cared.
Yeah.
And Mike was like, man, I like a lot of these. Let me see what Seth England thinks. And like, this is all happening without me knowing. Like, I'm just like doing the same thing, like unemployed waiter at this point. And so Mike sends them to Seth. Seth picks them out of a batch, and he like notices the song that's turned into 865. It was called 919 at the time, which is like the area code from Raleigh.
Yeah.
And he just picked it out, and he was like, that's, to Seth's credit, like I feel like incredibly rare for somebody that's the head of a label to just listen through a batch of songs and pick one that he likes.
Yeah.
But he did, and he essentially was like, I'm going to send this directly to Morgan right now. And I don't even think it's crossed Seth's mind who wrote these songs. He's just like listening to it as like a pitch from Mike almost. So he sends it to Morgan, and Morgan records it and does the whole thing. Wow. All unknown to me. Like, and JB texts me like 2 months later, and he's like, hey man, just want you to know, I think Morgan Wallen might have recorded one of our songs. I was like, oh yeah, right. And like, like he was like, but don't get your hopes up. He's like, it's probably gonna not happen. And like Morgan at that time was still very much on the come up too. Like
because that was that's on the Dangerous album, right?
On the Dangerous album.
Which was like the one that like
that broke it wide open.
Yeah.
But it was
so still at the time it was like he was Morgan Wallen, but he wasn't like Morgan Wallen.
He had just had one album out. Yeah. And so it was one of those things that hearing that though, I was like, man, this maybe I'm getting somewhere kind of thing.
Maybe this is it.
Yeah, maybe it turned out to be really great. And like the whole time we were all in the dark about like what it was going to be, but like wound up being like in a good spot on the track listing and everything. And like, it really gave us a place to jump off of from there.
Dude, I feel like, I guess that song wasn't a single, but it's definitely like one of the standout songs on that. I mean, it's a great record, like
Thanks,
top down.
Man. Yeah.
I love that song, man.
I appreciate
it's a really great song.
Yeah. It changed my whole life. So
yeah. So, did that lead you pretty quickly to like getting a publishing deal?
It did. Yeah. I think there was a period of time where people, again, were completely unaware that like who me and JB were.
Yeah.
So JB, obviously, because Mike was like the connection point there, like Mike signed JB, and he got into Big Loud and everything. Or like, I think it was around like, we wrote the song in April. JB got signed in like July-ish of that year.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I meant to ask you. How long till you wrote it did it come out? Like,
yeah, it was like 9 months. But like in that 9 month period, I had no idea what was going on. Wow. So I was like, we wrote the song in April. Like I said, JB got signed in July, and he was kind of updating me as he got a little bit of word from Mike or whoever about like the process. I went back to waiting tables after like COVID kind of cleared up a little bit. It was kind of like, all right, well, got to go back. Like unemployment's gone. I got to go work. So I went back to waiting tables. I remember being in there, and like one of the bartenders was like, how was music over COVID? And I was like, I think it's going better than ever. And like, I stayed there till about October and ended up meeting Rakaya through JB. Like, people kind of figured out like once they realized that there was another writer on the song, they were like, oh, who is it? Like,
who is this guy?
Seth and Mike and everybody were the first kind of people to like identify that. And so like, obviously met Rakaya through that, and Rakaya was at the time at BMG, and she was trying to assemble a company and like talking to Ashley Cook, and like she was kind of the first person that like actively that I had met with that took it seriously.
Yeah,
like she was like, no, I'm not interested in just hearing some songs from you. She's like, I want to sign you. And I'm like, great. Like, let's do that. And and so we ended up like, she had to like close out with BMG before we could, but I ended up signing. Actually, I signed on the day that Dangerous released as an album. So like we signed the publishing deal on that same day, but
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
And because you had so many years, I guess, doing it unpublished.
Yeah.
Did it feel like a pretty immediate change having a publisher?
For sure. Yeah. It felt like it was finally serious, and it felt like I actually had somebody that was able to like foster along the career and like help my songs get heard and like even just help my name get publicized, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like one of the first times we wrote must have been around that time.
Yeah.
But dude, I just kind of thought you were one of those dudes that had like been doing it forever. And
thanks,
I guess
man.
In a way you kind of had, but
yeah, I was like 8 or 9 years in by the time I like finally got signed. So I do think that time really allowed me to, from a distance, I was watching how it all worked. And like when I finally got in, I was like, okay, I knew for a fact that like every session I come into, I kind of treated it as like all of these guys have been in this longer than I have. They've proved themselves to whatever degree. I got to show them why I belong here. And so like I kind of tried to over prepare for every session. I tried to be like, I tried to try to make it so that everybody would walk away from a session being like, well, that was an easy day because that guy brought a lot to the table.
Yeah.
And like that was my goal for the first several years of my whole career, and still is to this day. But like, especially at the beginning, I was like, I got to show people why I'm here.
So when you talk about preparing for a session, like, are you doing title like idea generation? Is that like you, or are you like, do you like write whole choruses? Like what's kind of your
kind of all of the above. So anything that could like get the ball rolling. Like, so whether that be titles, I kind of tried to have like an endless amount of titles, like so that if anybody didn't like something, I could just have something ready to go and be like, oh, what about this? And I always tried to have choruses prepared and like written before I write, just in case. Like I honestly felt like, to be honest, when I would write with these like legend kind of guys, like I'd get in the room with like a Josh Thompson or a Craig Wiseman or something like that, and I'd be like, they don't need me to be here. Like the only reason that I'm here is for them to essentially like try me out and see if I have anything to bring to the table.
See if you got it, you know?
Yeah. And so like the way I contribute, I was like, the value I can bring is like great launching off point that they can just like, they can have to start with. I didn't want to take any of their ideas. Like they could write their ideas with whoever they wanted. And like, they'd probably be better served if they did. And so I was like, I have to have the idea and I have to be like ready if they don't like it with a bunch of other ones. Yeah. And so, I would do just a ton of groundwork beforehand.
So, I got a couple questions kind of on that thread for you. The first one is like, where do you get your ideas from? Like your titles and stuff?
Yeah.
Do you like read a lot? Are you like, what's your process for that?
Yeah. I find that it comes from different places, and it has from like at different points in my career. So like originally I wasn't writing enough volume for it to be like crazy to just have ideas fall out of the air. You know, like sometimes where you're just like, you hear something in a conversation, and I was doing it I was writing 5 times a week. And generally I would hear, if I was paying attention during that week, I would have 5 things that stood out to me about life that I could kind of like gather up. Yeah. And like, as time went on, I was doing more like doubles and sessions and like more volume of work. And so I started having to like kind of set aside time to like listen to music, read, watch TV, whatever, like just anything that was like any experience of like emotion or like just like music or anything that could spark something, and then just giving myself the space and time to like flesh it out a little bit. Yeah. And then as time went on, I started picking up on like, oh, like these people that I'm writing with, like again, with the like stylistic pieces that I noticed about people, I was like, I started kind of trying to tailor ideas to who I was writing with to try and like even like when I started getting up into a higher level of writers, I was like, well, these guys have written songs for like an Aldean or this person or whoever. I was like, I'm going to try to come up with an Aldean idea that like, see if if I wrote him a great Aldean song, if they would send it to him, or like who would pick whatever artist. And so that started to be kind of the process. It kind of grew and matured as
you like refine it as you go.
Yeah.
And so when you write a title, you will often like write more some people have just titles.
Right.
So you would take your title and then also try and like get the ball rolling on like what the first verse or the chorus might be.
Definitely. Yeah. I would try to have at least a concept of like where we could take it and
how to hook it.
Yeah. How to hook it. Exactly. And there's sometimes where like it got to the point where I was so like busy that I didn't have the time to do that. But I also got kind of quicker at it. I started being able to be like, it sounds like it might take a lot of time, but like if I sat around 30 minutes, I could maybe come up with like 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of started to get a barometer of like, okay, this is good enough to like catch somebody's attention or not. And I would kind of like just not stop getting ideas until I felt like I had something that was compelling.
Yeah, wow.
You know, but.
Okay. And here's my second part of the logistics of that.
Yeah.
Do you have one note in your phone with all the ideas?
Yeah.
Or do you have each idea is its own note or some other way entirely?
Yeah. Each idea is its own note for me. And I have like, I always put a red dot beside an idea that's like just a title or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put like a star beside finished stuff and then like a green dot beside stuff that's like in progress that I started with somebody. It's like a verse, chorus or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not finished. But yeah, I kind of just started, I do it in every single thing. And I also never delete anything. So every song I like write, if like the lyric doesn't make it, but I like thought of it, I'll like write it down and I'll just like enter it down. So like all of my notes have like tons of different like scrap lyrics or whatever that I never even really go through. I just feel like there's like part of my process is like, I don't like deleting things. So it's like,
oh yeah, dude, you got to just
holding on to it.
You got to keep a record. I write everything now, most of my stuff on pads.
Cool. That's awesome.
And so the reason I really started doing that more is because what would happen is I would pick up a pad and it would have some song with like 3 lines on it that I never got around to. And then I just stare at it. And then I'm like motivated to finish that. I like the serendipity of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does get really like disorganized when I, lose the notepad or like.
Yeah, that's a tough process to like hold on to those ideas like in that like analog format, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. But I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, well, fate's going to decide if this idea like finds me again,
Definitely. I agree with that, man. I think there's a lot to that where if it's meant to be, it'll be, as they say.
Yeah. But it is true, the process you're describing of like kind of having different methods that have worked at different times.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always kind of riding different waves of inspiration.
Definitely.
And like it's like, okay, well, I was watching this movie and that got me these ideas. So I'm going to watch like 5 more movies like this and see. And like at a certain point, the 7th time, there's no more juice left in the lemon. So you kind of got to find like a new
source.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is like, that's part of the job. But man, sometimes when you're like, wow, I wonder if I'll just never have an idea ever again.
Dude, yeah, I've felt that. There's something fun to me too about, I feel like at this point in my career, there's been seasons of like, where it feels like I should have maxed out like everything I had to write almost, whether it's like a specific artist or a specific project. I feel like I've like drained the well, perhaps is like what you would say. And
yeah.
I feel like that's been a fun place to get to as I've gotten there. Cause like, then you start being like, well, at this point I've done everything that's obvious. Now I'm going to do stuff that's completely ridiculous and like just it's like turns into kind of like a home run derby version of writing where you're like, just going to swing for the fences here.
Yeah, let's see what we could do.
Yeah, and sometimes you break new ground because of that. It's like a fun, creative place to get to. But.
Yeah, wow. That's really inspiring, man. It's kind of got me fired up right now.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Just like the process of it is always so... Everybody's process is so different. So it's like, I feel so lucky to get to just like sit here and have people like break it down for me like the way that they do it. It's
I'm sure you've heard awesome
fascinating
stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've heard a lot of different stuff, but there's like a common thread, I think, for a lot of people in it. And I think there's a lot more preparation involved.
Yeah.
Than people realize.
Yeah.
If that
100%.
makes sense. And I mean, you're kind of detailing how much preparation there is, but it's not always just like, oh yeah, the idea like it was written in the clouds in the sky, right? Sometimes you got to go out there and like start turning over rocks and looking for stuff.
Yeah, and just like exploring random things that lead to something else. And yeah. That's the fun part about it. I feel like continuing. I still try to write by myself as much as I can for that reason because it's like this free space to be like, you can say the dumbest thing ever and nobody ever hears it and nobody like knows about it. But like it could lead you to getting somewhere that's really cool. But when you co-write, you don't always have that like comfort of, if I say something dumb, they're not going to understand that it's maybe leading to something else, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
So you just had your first number one.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I did.
What, Just in Case?
Yeah, Just in Case.
Who all did you write that with?
Yeah, so that was me, JB, which was cool, like big, like full circle moment.
Yeah.
J Cash, pop writer.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Handsome, Morgan himself, and then there's Josh Thompson was also on that song.
Wow.
So it was a big group.
Was there like some camps for the Morgan record?
There was, yeah. So this one in particular was actually a fun situation. We were set up as like a B room at the studio when Morgan was recording other songs for his stuff.
Okay.
And so the premise of that was just that like Morgan would pop in and like if he could be creative from a writing standpoint as well as a recording standpoint at the same time. And so we had Morgan for like the first half of that day, and JB and J Cash had started an idea. Like, so J Cash wasn't here during the session that we did, but they had started an idea.
Gotcha.
It was Just in Case.
Yeah.
Before that, and Morgan kind of listened to the stuff that they'd came in with, and he loved the title, but he didn't really like the way that it was written at that point. And so we kind of just stripped it back to the title. And that session was me, Charlie, Josh Thompson, and JB in that room.
Gotcha.
And Morgan, obviously. And so we started reworking it and got stuck, honestly, on that a lot. Like the top melody of that song was actually like initially like a post chorus that we were trying to figure out. And like I remember me and JB going back and forth on, I was like, lyrically, we can't hook this song without saying Just in Case in the middle. Like, and I couldn't wrap my head around like how else we're going to do it. And we tried to do it where it just was at the end, or we bookended it or something like that. But none of it was working. I was like, we have to say it in the middle. And like, we kind of like went back and forth on it for a second. And as a result, we took the post chorus and we were like, okay, where else could this melody launch off to? And that became like the back half of the chorus that just became the full chorus. And so it was a fun situation there. And like, that was one that ended up being, because of the dynamic Morgan was recording at that time. We finished the song on the day that we wrote it, and then the next day he recorded it. And it was like that kind of situation where he like literally like looked through like what we had written the day before, and he was like, this one feels great, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And it turned out really good. And then from there we had to like rework the second verse, and so we ended up pulling it up on another retreat. Me, him, and Charlie and Ernest freestyled kind of like a second verse, kind of a flow and everything. We pieced that together as the finishing touches on the song, I guess. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It was
really
fun.
Exciting.
Yeah. It was kind of like a mixture of a lot of different like scenarios to get it over the finish line, but it was fun.
Yeah. And when did you kind of like find out that it was going to be a single or whatever?
Yeah. I got the news about that. So Seth England had called me and he said that they were going to drop I'm a Little Crazy and Just in Case.
Yeah.
As like two before the album kind of songs and everything. And Big Loud's very like data driven. So like it was kind of like we didn't even have to talk about it. It was like, see which one like does well, you know? It's It's like the understanding of like, so it wasn't like a official, like, here's the single. It was like, you start watching and you're like, okay, it's like a horse race. You're like,
are you just like staring at the Spotify streams?
Yeah. I mean, when that kind of situation's happening, I'm like pretty like zoned into that. Cause it's like, it's nerve wracking, honestly. Cause obviously like all the songs are so good. You're like, man, it just feels like kind of like a coin toss sometimes, but usually something raises its hand. And so like, thankfully, Just in Case, like kind of stood out, and it, Seth called me. He's like, we're sending it to radio. It did the thing. So it flew. It kind of flew up the chart. It was great.
Yeah. I know it's been longer, but it feels like that song came out like a month ago.
Yeah.
Was it earlier this year?
Yeah, it was like earlier this year. I can't remember the exact day, but it was not that long ago. I mean, it was like March or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a great song, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And both those songs that came out are really good.
I'm a Little Crazy is an incredible song.
Yeah. So what did it feel like, I guess, to get like, does somebody call you, when you have a number one? Like, does like a magical bell ring? Like, what is it? What
For sure. So funny enough, I had no idea that it was even like the week it went number one. I was like, it wasn't even on my radar that it was like the time for it to go number one. So
gotcha.
I was actually like I was down at the beach. I was I literally got engaged the day before it went number 1.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. So it was like, I was with my whole family and like my fiance's whole family and everything, just like celebrating that. And then I like got the, it's funny, dude, the Chris Owen guy that is like on Instagram. He just tagged me in it. And he was like,
for those that don't know, Chris Owen is like this amazing follow on Instagram and Twitter that just like is like a chart. I don't even know how to describe what he does.
He just tapped in on all of the stuff. And like, that was what was cool, because he like tagged me in it, and I like just DM'd him on Instagram. I was like, yo, where's the chart? I don't see the chart. He's like, I'm like, is it actually number 1? I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. He's like, because it was July 4th weekend. So like the chart wasn't going to be published until Monday or something is what they don't publish it on a holiday. Yeah. And so I was like, how do you know? He was like, trust me, I know. And I was like, okay, man. And so like, I just like took his word for it, and I was like, man, I hope he's not wrong. And like, kind of started letting myself celebrate a little bit. But yeah. And then it actually came out. I was like, he was right. So, and then it like held on for a few weeks, but that was kind of how I figured it out. And I was with my whole family and everything. So
that's awesome.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a movie scene almost.
Yeah.
You know?
It was awesome.
That's
was
really cool.
Really cool, man.
Yeah. Did you celebrate? Did you do anything fun? I mean, you were already celebrating.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I was kind of already like in a celebration kind of situation. So there was no like defined like moment or anything, but yeah, I mean, still kind of just celebrating the whole thing. Got to like take pictures with my mom. Just came to town. We like went and saw banners and everything, like the classic stuff.
That's so
and
cool, man.
So like over the course of the past few weeks, it's been like a like taking it in kind of a thing. But
yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like your life's different now, or is it more of the same? And that one just happened.
It feels like it kind of just happened, but it's like obviously like that was the looming thing over that was like looming over me, I guess, that I hadn't achieved yet. I was like, man, I felt like I kind of felt like I was starting to accumulate like a bizarre stat sheet of like things that I had accomplished but not gotten to number 1, and like.
Yeah.
I kind of, in my own mind, I was like, man, how can I be taken seriously as a writer if I haven't gotten a number 1? And, you know, I'd gotten like I had like stuff in other genres. I started realizing, I was like, there's only one version of a number 1 that I'm even going to count. Cause I had like a Canadian number 1. I had like a hard rock number 1. I had other stuff with like the country number 1. I was like, this is what I set out to do. And until I get this, I'm not going to like be, I guess, proud of myself in a way. But so like now that I've achieved that, I'm like, okay, I at least have satisfied myself. I think everybody else, like nobody else looked at it that way. Everybody else was like, you're a great writer. Everybody thought like I was doing fine.
Yeah.
To me, myself, I was like, I haven't done it yet. I haven't done.
Yeah, it was like a monkey on your back or something. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And so now that that's passed, there is a little bit more comfort of being just able to be like, yeah, I did the thing at least once in my life, you know, like, and like, yeah. But
you rang the bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel, I don't know. Do you feel like this pressure now of like, oh man, I got to do it again?
Man, I think I feel like a lot more at ease than I expected to, because I mean, I feel like I got lucky with like at the time where that one was on, like I have like a few more on the chart already. So it's like, that was like unexpected, but it was like, oh, it feels like already there's like some momentum and like stuff that's like, it probably soothes that a little bit, where it, like if I didn't have anything, I'd probably be sitting there being like, oh gosh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But I feel like I've got a few like in the pipeline that I'm like excited about. And I kind of like, as a result of not having one, I think I like ramped it up to like max RPMs of work and like ethic or an effort that I could do. And so as a result, I've kind of like got a lot more in the pipeline than I expected, just because I was just like, I was grinding as hard as I could.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the like, the odd things about success is like it's really like a lagging indicator of the work.
Yeah.
And with songwriting, it can be so tough because sometimes the work can be years
definitely
ahead.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
Sometimes a song gets cut when it's 7 years old.
For sure.
Or even longer.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like a conversation I have to have with myself a lot. I'm like, you're doing the work.
Definitely.
It's like, it's going to all work out.
100%.
You just have to like, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, let's see, what is it like if I take this effort knob and turn it up a few more? Like what does that look like?
Definitely.
And like seeing how that kind of changes your, I don't know, your future or whatever.
For sure. Yeah. It does feel like you have like the ability to like change your life in 2 years every time, like in a way, like it's, if you go through a crazy season, I found myself being like, oh man, that's like tough to endure when you're in the midst of it. But every time I go through it, I'm like, it's always pays off. It always pays off to like almost like push yourself in a way, even if it doesn't have immediate results, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fun stuff.
I think there's like
there's a pedal tavern out there.
There's like a pedal tavern outside. Is that Zombie? It's a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Man, that's really cool. Like, I don't know, your story. It's just like, it's really, it's inspiring. And I think it's just like,
thanks, man.
A testament to like, you know, there's talent, and then there's like opportunity, and then there's effort, and they all three have to kind of intersect
for sure
for like the magic to happen.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that it's inspiring. I mean, that's
yeah,
good
dude.
To hear.
no, for sure, man. I mean, we've been writing for like a few years now, for sure.
Yeah,
3 or 4.
Sure. I literally think we wrote like the first few months when I was like, after I was signed. At this point, it's been about 5 years. So.
Yeah, I think the first time we wrote might have even been on a Zoom or something.
Yeah. It's either that or with Kyle Clark. I remember we did one with Kyle Clark.
Oh, dude, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Those were like, the COVID times were so zany, dude.
So weird. Yeah.
Just...
Yeah. I feel like that was right out of the COVID world, where it was like, it was like one of the first in-person rides, I feel like, if I remember right.
Well, and like for a while, some of the stuff was in person.
Right.
And some of the stuff was on Zoom.
Yeah.
And you were like having to take your temperature.
For sure. Yeah.
Or like sign it. It was just,
weird. It
was super weird. But
definitely.
It all worked out.
Definitely.
Well, what's, I don't know, like what are you excited about? What's next?
Yeah. So I feel like my career like has kind of gone through like seasons of zoning into the like the Morgan Wallen stuff, and then like there's periods where he's like not looking or not recording or anything, so it gives me time to like kind of like broaden the base a little bit. And so after this last Morgan record, I spent a ton of time doing that when that was time to do that, and then now that that's out and like just climbing and doing all this thing, it's kind of been a season of like, okay, time to go back to like broadening the base and like seeing what else I can kind of like swing at. And so I've been doing a bunch of stuff just with all of the people that I hadn't seen in a long time. You know, I've been writing with my old artist friends that I hadn't seen in a minute, and like all the like just the co-writers and everything. It's like kind of like broadening back into the community and everything. So kind of just trying to capitalize on that window of time. But
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always like to ask is if you could like go back to younger you.
Yeah.
What's a piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I guess it just depends on how old I was, but I think for sure if I was at the like college age where I was like getting out of college.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like kind of like right after college when you were just getting started.
Yeah, I would say, I think it would be to like give myself a little bit like more grace and the ability to like, and probably just tell myself to be more patient and like just trust the whole like the work that you're doing, like because at the end of the day, like that pressure that I felt out of college was kind of self-inflicted, kind of the same self-inflicted number one pressure I put on myself. You know, it's like I kind of feel like I've like made it more difficult for myself along the way just because I've like set these arbitrary goals that are like worthwhile goals to have, but like the timeline and the deadline for those goals that I have is more just like should be more up in the air to myself. You know, like I shouldn't be so like rigid about like, if I don't have this by this, I'm failing, you know? And like, I think I would just give myself more grace on that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. Yeah. It's so, I like chuckled to myself. A lot of the time I'm like, well, I'll find some like old thing. It's like, well, I want to have this by this age.
Yeah.
You know? And I look at it and I go, some of this stuff came true.
Yeah.
Some of it didn't.
For sure.
But I'm glad that I had the goal got me down the road.
Definitely. Yeah.
Which is, I think, what goals should always do.
For sure.
And that's really helped me just even with my own goal setting now. Like I try and almost be like a little bit more ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, what is the result that I want? And the result is like, well, I want to, you know, have more impact with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I try and steer away from stuff that some stuff you just can't control.
For sure.
You know,
definitely.
I'm sure you've also just like experienced like the frustration of like you get a cut and maybe it takes a while to come out, or sometimes it doesn't make the record for some reason. It's like,
oh yeah. Yeah. The wind goes out the sails. Yeah.
Totally. But, you know, you just like, I don't know, I feel like I've like learned to just let it
fall off your shoulders a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
you just have to keep going. I'm sure there were a lot of times, I mean, I'm just putting words in your mouth, but like with like 865, where it's like, to me, that was always like gonna be a single, you know, and then like it wasn't. And I'm sure that was like hard to deal with at the time on some level anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the way I've tried to like allow myself to see it is that like, because we don't know the like end of the story at all, it's like you almost can't even really gauge how far along you are in a way. Like, because like if I looked at myself like 5 years ago where I was like an unemployed waiter, like I said, literally had like $0 pretty much. And you're like, man, like that doesn't seem like he's about to succeed. And like, I wouldn't like see that image of myself and be like, yeah, he's on the right track. I would see it as like, that looks like everything's about to fall apart. And then you see what's after that. It's just right around the corner from that. And you're like, man. So again, if you like average out like what's happened since then over like even like the 13 years that I've been here, I mean, like if you told me I could have that same amount of success over 13 years, I'd be like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Even though at the first 8 years were just completely like this, like just zero progress, you know? So.
Oh dude, that's a very vivid image, but I know what you mean. It's like, just think about, life is long.
Yeah.
The career is long.
Right.
The average in the end will be good.
Definitely.
But it's always getting started. That's the absolute hardest part.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm such a fan of your writing and of you as a person. So
back at you, bro.
I'm very honored that you're here. And
honored to be here, man. Thank you for having me. Big fan. Been a fan of you since the day we met. So it's been fun to hang out and talk a little bit, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, guys. That's it. That's the pod.
Sweet.
See you later. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Just one last reminder. If you want to be included in the special bonus episode to mark our 100th release, you can record a voice memo, send me something that you've learned from the pod, a favorite moment, or really anything you want. Try and keep it under 60 seconds if you can, and email it to me, Troy at 10yeartown.com. See you next week.